Alright, we're ready now to look at the CSV file that we just downloaded from the census site. That was King County block groups with some age information, and I've got my window open here with the downloaded and extracted CSV file. And normally I've switched over to the Seattle U work environment that you'll be seeing. So you'll be seeing the same version of Excel that I'm using here and similar operating environment. So here's the complicatedly named file, Decennial Census 2010 Summary File 1 P12, I'm not sure what that means, with annotation .csv. So let's double click that. It'll pop open Excel, and we'll see first couple of things that we need to look out for are the layout. We've got two header rows. That's what the annotation data gets us when we download it that way. We've got more descriptive, or less descriptive items up above here, and more descriptive items down below. And as I've pointed out before, ArcMap hates spaces, hates any character other than letters and numbers and underscores. So you can see that we're going to need to do some manipulation if we want to keep the usefulness of this field. We also have a little bit of a problem here. This will form the basis of our FIPS code for the census block. That's what we're going to need later on to join to the shapefiles. The shapefiles had FIPS codes as well. And another thing that you should look for when you start doing this on your own is make sure that there's not a lot of empty space. It will turn out in some of these, actually didn't turn out this way with this one. Sometimes you'll find rows and rows of unused space with just like a zero in one column that goes on and on forever, and you'll probably need to clean that up. Let's see how that works for us. First thing is to rename this sheet to something useful and keep it pristine in case we mess things up. So down here at the bottom, double click on this little tab that shows us the name of the current sheet. So let's call this Original Data with an underscore, and Data, we're a little sluggish, Original Data, and let's create a new sheet here. So click on the Insert Worksheet, and let's call this Working Data. Okay, so two sheets, one blank currently, and go up here to the top left, click there, that selects everything, right click, copy, shift to the newly created sheet, go to the upper left and click paste, just the regular paste. We'll look at paste options in a few minutes. Regular paste will get everything from our original data to our working data sheet. Let's scroll all the way down, make sure everything's clean, we don't have a bunch of empty space or columns with a bunch of zeros and whatnot. So now we're ready to go to work on we still have our original data sheet, and we're ready to go to work on this. So the first thing let's do is let's correct these problem characters in the header, and in fact we're finding, you can see right away that this first line is not very helpful to us. You could go back to the data dictionary on the census site and find out what all this means, but if you look at the descriptions, the second header row tells us what we need, and as provided that we can format it properly, we think we can get ArcMap to recognize things just fine. So let's click on the leftmost row here, and row 1. That'll select the entire row. Let's just dump that right now. So let's delete it. We have only one header row now, and that's what ArcMap is expecting. That's what it's happy with. So now let's get rid of these special characters and go over to the far right and hit Find and Select. Go Find, and the first thing let's get rid of is I see a colon. We know that ArcMap will hate that, so click a colon, and let's just leave that blank. So let's go replace all to get rid of the colons. Just close it up, and it's found 49 replacements. The next thing, and you can see that we've lost the colons. So let's get rid of spaces. So I wiped out the colon, I hit a space, and let's get rid of all spaces. And it got rid of a lot of spaces, so that's a good thing. That'll make ArcMap happier. Let's double check. There's still a space in here. Let's hit it again. Nope, that did the job. So the next thing that we know we're going to need to get rid of is, it looks like we've got the names in a lot better shape right away. So let's get rid of that hyphen. So type in find what hyphen, and let's replace that with an underscore, and replace all 46 replacements, and satisfy yourself. Your data may be laid out a little bit differently, that you don't have anything left in these header fields that is going to cause grief for you later on. So letters, numbers, and underscores, that's all you want. You can have up to 64 characters in the header, so should not be a problem. And we're ready to close. Okay, so we're almost ready to go. Let us go ahead and do one more thing. Let's expand this out to get a look at, this is going to be a really crucial field for us. This is going to be our FIPS code in the Tiger Line data that we downloaded is called GeoID 10, but let's call it FIPS here. And this is going to be kind of cryptic stuff for most of you if you haven't done serious data crunching before with Excel. But we're going to create two new columns. So I'm going to select all of column C, hit Insert, and I'm just going to call these both FIPS. Paste, copied and pasted. And the first thing I want to do is we've got to get rid of this ugly scientific notation, which is something that Excel has done to us on the import from CSV. So the way to do that is we're going to enter a formula. I don't know if you've done this in Excel before, but this is where the power of Excel comes, is being able to do manipulations on cells. Formulas always start with an equal sign, and the formula name is called text. And you do an open parentheses, click on the cell next door. That tells us what you're operating on, a comma, and then a single quote or a double quote, a zero, and then another double quote and close parentheses. And what that's done is reformatted it to be in what we're now recognizing as more of a FIPSian format. So let's copy that, go to the next cell down, and Control-Shift down arrow takes us to the bottom of the data, and whoops, we're seeing a problem here, aren't we? We're seeing a lot of blank cells, so we'll deal with that in a bit. Paste, and it will eventually do the pasting of that formula that we typed in here to all the rest of those cells. And this is where we see a problem. We've got a bunch of zeros down there. We'll deal with that in a minute. ArcMap will hate that, so that's something to watch out for. Okay, so it looks like we're ready to go with a little more tidying up, but in fact we're not, because when you go to export this in an Excel format, this is what really lives. This is what you see in the cells, but when you look up here, this is what actually lives in the cells. So there still is a formula in there. What we're going to need to do is copy the values from this column and paste just the numbers, not the columns itself, or not the formula. We don't need to go all the way down to the bottom of the zeros, so I've just gone through and copied all the real numbers, and now I'm ready to go and paste. So I hit paste options, and I lost my selection, so I'm going to hit here, hit copy, Control Shift down arrow, copy. Now we're ready to go to this column next door, paste options. Now this is important. You don't want to just paste, because that will paste the formula in. We want to paste the values, the numbers themselves, in there. So go to paste options, values, and now let's open that up so we can see. When you click around in the column here, you'll see the actual values, the FIPS code values, and that's what ArcMap is going to want. The last thing to check on, I think this is normally going to be okay, is select the whole column, right click, format cells, and you want to make sure that it's in a general format. So that will cover the header, name, as well as the values. So now we're ready to clean up a little bit more. So let's get rid of these first three columns. Again, we're still working on the working data worksheet, so let's delete those first three. Let's get rid of this geography column, because we know we're dealing with block groups. So what we've got is very clean and almost ready to go. We've got FIPS codes, we've got totals, we've got males, females, and then the different age slices in our data sheet. So the last thing to do is go down. As I recall, there are about 1,400 rows of actual data in here, and it's just an artifact of the manipulations we've done that we ended up with those zeros. So we're almost there. Yeah, 1424. So you want to go to row 1424, click here, select the whole thing, Control Shift down arrow, and then that selects all of it. We want to clear the contents, and it'll complain a little bit because you're working on a lot of data at once, and it should eventually return you to a happy place. Let's see. You never know what's going to happen with a Microsoft product, especially when you're working over the internet. So if all has gone well, and it looks like it just did, we don't have any funny zeros in any of these lower columns. We can page through. I'm hitting the page down button. We can page through the data. It all looks good. We don't see any pesky characters that are going to cause ArcMap to blow up. So I'm going to hit the home button, page up button, go all the way to the top. We're in a happy place as far as the column headings. We've gotten rid of unhappy stuff. Last thing to do to get it into ArcMap, and then I'll go on to part 3, click File, and Save As. It'll eventually come up with a choice for you. You want to navigate to your folder where you're working, and for me it's Whiting, King County Project. I'm going to the import area to tables, and I am not going to save it at this point, but what I would suggest is what you must do to make it happy, to make ArcMap happy, is save it as an XLS format, which is XL90 Excel workbooks, XLSX. So the top choice, XLSX, Excel workbook, and let's give it a more descriptive name. So I'm going to call it King County. Again, no spaces in the name. King County age slices. Whoops. And it will happily save for you. So in King County age slices.xlsx, the next step is I'm going to bring it into ArcMap, but I will conclude part 2. We'll go on to part 3 when you're ready.